I suspected my wife was preparing for a divorce, so I moved my assets. 2 weeks later, she filed only to backtrack when her plan failed. Hello everyone. Before today's story begins, I'd like your support. Recently, the channel has slowed down, and subscribing is one of the best ways to help. It's quick, free, and keeps us motivated to create more content. Your support truly makes the difference. Let's keep this channel moving forward together. Thank you. Now, let's begin. Hello friends. I've read stories on this forum for a while, never thinking I'd share one myself. But life can surprise you, and I've been carrying this for months. It's time to let it out. To be clear, I'm not the type to jump to conclusions or assume the worst. My wife, let's call her M, and I have been together for 6 years. Married for 4. Everything seemed steady, or so I believed. We had the normal ups and downs, but nothing alarming. For most of our relationship, we were that couple, deeply connected, laughing at inside jokes, debating endlessly about which movie to watch, and balancing each other naturally. She loved planning date nights, while I'd surprise her with her favorite takeout after a long day. It all felt effortless, as though we had figured it out. That is why what followed hit me so hard. About 6 months ago, things started to shift. At first it was small details, easy to miss unless you paid close attention. She began carrying her phone everywhere, even into the kitchen or while folding laundry. Before, it would sit on the table for hours without a second thought. I joked, "What are you, running a spy agency?" She laughed and said, "No, just lots of work emails." But days later, she set up a phone password, something she had never done. When I asked why, she vaguely mentioned security and hackers. I didn't push, not wanting to sound suspicious, but it felt unusual. Soon she was also taking calls in private. Her phone would ring, and she'd quickly step out to the porch or bedroom. If I asked, she'd brush it off with, "Just a work friend." Another new habit appeared, leaving her phone face down on the table. I wouldn't have thought much of it, except once when I handed her something. She quickly moved the phone out of reach. It was a small moment, but it stayed with me. It wasn't only the phone. She seemed distant. Conversations that once flowed naturally became strained. Whenever I brought up future plans, anniversaries, buying a car, she gave short answers like, "Yeah, we'll see," before changing the subject. Then came the moment that tied everything together. One random Wednesday, she said she was meeting a friend for coffee. Nothing unusual. She does that sometimes. I happened to be in the same area, and thought it would be a nice surprise to drop by. But when I arrived, she wasn't with her friend. She was outside the cafe, pacing, talking on the phone. I stayed in my car, sensing it was serious. I caught phrases like, "It's almost ready," and "starting fresh soon." My stomach dropped. This didn't sound like casual talk about work or friends. It sounded like a plan. When she got home, I asked casually about the coffee outing. She launched into a story about her friend's relationship problems. I nodded, but inside, I couldn't shake what I'd heard. A few days later, she suggested something out of the blue. We should keep all our account info, passwords, and documents in one place, just in case of emergencies. I asked, "Emergencies like what?" She shrugged, saying it was just smart planning. On the surface, her reasoning made sense, but the timing felt odd. Her words sounded too polished, as though rehearsed. I agreed reluctantly, but deep down, alarms were going off. Why now? Why push for shared financial organization after years of keeping things casual and separate? That night, I kept replaying her request. Was I overthinking, or was there more to it? I remembered the phone calls, the cafe conversation, the distance. It all seemed connected. The next day in the kitchen, she brought it up again while scrolling on her phone. "Have you thought about organizing the bank stuff? Like, do you know where all the details are?" I put down the knife I was holding and asked directly, "What's going on? You've mentioned finances a lot lately. Is there something you want to tell me?" She looked startled, then quickly replied, "No, nothing's wrong. I just think it's important. That's all." Her answer was vague, avoiding specifics. I let it go, but my suspicion only deepened. The following day, while she was at work, I logged into our joint account. That's when I noticed small, unexplained withdrawals over the past month. Not big amounts, but not tied to bills or groceries either. I didn't confront her. Something told me to wait. If I was wrong, I'd seem paranoid. If I was right, I needed to be careful. It ate at me. So I turned to an old college friend who's a lawyer. I explained everything, trying not to sound paranoid. His response was calm but direct. "You are not crazy. If you are worried, this is the time to protect yourself. Better safe than sorry." He walked me through steps to secure my finances, if something was indeed happening. Taking those measures wasn't easy. It felt like preparing for the worst, even though I wasn't sure what was coming. This wasn't just about money. It was about our life together. I couldn't stop thinking about our wedding day, our late-night talks, and the small jokes only we understood. Was this really what marriage had come to? That evening, while she was out, I sat at my desk and opened my laptop. My hands trembled as I reviewed everything. Bank accounts, investments, property deeds. Every click felt like betrayal. But a voice in my head insisted this was survival, not sabotage. I wasn't trying to hurt her, but I couldn't ignore the feeling that if I didn't act, I would regret it later. I made a list of what I could move, and how to do it discreetly. The weight on my chest was crushing. After years of trust, here I was protecting myself against the person I thought would always stand by me. Finally, I called my mother. I didn't give her details, only said, "I need you to hold on to some things for me. It sets nothing bad, just something I need to do for protection." She paused, clearly worried, then softly asked, "Are you okay?" I told my mother it was just a precaution, nothing serious. She didn't push, but I could hear the pause in her voice before she answered, "Of course, sweetheart, whatever you need." I ended the call with mixed emotions, relieved she supported me, but guilty for involving her in the situation. Still, knowing she had my back gave me some stability in an otherwise uncertain time. By the time M came home, I had already acted. I transferred most of my assets, our cash, investments, and even the house, into my mother's name. I left just enough in our joint account to appear normal, while the rest was secured. She didn't notice. She came in, kissed me on the cheek, and asked if I wanted to watch a movie. Outwardly, I played along, but inside I was conflicted. Part of me felt I had betrayed her trust, yet another part felt relief at finally regaining some control. For the next 3 days, I kept up our usual routine. She acted as if nothing was different, even more cheerful than usual. Rather than easing my concerns, it raised more questions. If she was planning something, she was hiding it well. What stood out was her silence on finances. She never mentioned them again after I confronted her. It wasn't like her to drop something she thought was important. It felt intentional, as though she was avoiding the subject altogether. I also caught her watching me at times, as if studying my reaction or debating whether to say something. Whenever I noticed, she would quickly redirect her attention to her phone, the television, or a book. It gave me the sense that she was waiting for me to bring finances up again, but I refused to give her that opening. Whatever her plan was, I knew I had to stay ahead of it. That night, I reviewed everything once more. I double-checked the paperwork, ensuring the transfers to my mother were legally sound. The house, the savings, the investments, all secured under an uncontested trust. I even called her to confirm she had all the necessary documents. 2 weeks passed, and everything seemed normal. Too normal. Med was more affectionate, even starting conversations about everyday things like work and dinner plans. It was unusual, after months of distance, and for a moment I wondered if I had overreacted. Maybe her odd behavior was just stress, something I hadn't understood. But then, one Friday night, She sat me down on the couch, switched off the television, and said calmly, "We need to talk." My stomach dropped. I knew what was coming. "I think we should get a divorce," she said. Her tone was calm and practiced, not angry or emotional, just detached, like she was stating a simple fact. I froze, listening, as she explained her reasons. Needing space, wanting to rediscover herself, feeling she had lost her identity in the marriage. Standard breakup lines that didn't offer much real explanation. Then she added, "I've made a lot of sacrifices for you over the years, and I don't think you appreciate them. I deserve more." That line hit differently. It wasn't just about ending the marriage. It was framed as if I owed her, as though everything was my fault, and she was only claiming what was hers. As I sat there processing her words, one question lingered. Why now? Then she mentioned, "A friend of mine has been helping me see things more clearly." She wouldn't meet my eyes. My mind immediately went to the cafe conversation I had overheard. Who was this friend? And why were they so involved in my marriage? The way she phrased it didn't sound casual. It sounded like guidance, almost as if someone had been encouraging her, turning divorce into a strategy instead of a choice. The more she repeated that she deserved more, the more I doubted her reasoning. What sacrifices was she talking about? I had supported her decisions for years. When she wanted to move closer to her job, I agreed, even though it doubled my commute. When she asked to attend an expensive yoga retreat, I rearranged our budget, sacrificing a vacation I had looked forward to. I stood by her through 2 career changes, encouraging her to take risks for her happiness. I made an effort, whether it was remembering birthdays, planning date nights, or listening when she vented. I wasn't perfect, but I showed up. That's why her "I deserve more" argument felt hollow. It wasn't about me failing as a husband. It was about something within her that had shifted. Maybe it was this so-called friend's influence. Maybe something else. But the person speaking to me was not the same woman I had married. I didn't argue. Instead, I simply said, "If that's how you feel, then I guess we need to figure out the next steps." She seemed surprised. I didn't protest, but I wasn't focused on saving the conversation. My attention was already on uncovering what had triggered this sudden change. After that discussion, she moved into her own apartment. By Monday, I received the divorce papers. Her demands went far beyond ending the marriage. She wanted half of the house, my savings, my assets, the car, and even added vague spousal support requests, despite her high income. It felt less like separation and more like an attempt to strip me of everything I had worked for. At first, I thought it was spite, but the way her demands were phrased, precise, strategic, aggressive, suggested she had help. Someone was guiding her. So I started digging. I couldn't just ask her who it was, so I checked her social media. She hadn't blocked me. And although she didn't post often, I searched her tagged photos and comments. That's when I saw a pattern. A man named Jake frequently liked and commented on her posts. Nothing inappropriate, but noticeable. Curious, I clicked on his profile. It was public. He appeared to be an ordinary 30-year-old marketing professional. But as I scrolled, I noticed something concerning. He had posted a photo at the same cafe where I had seen her weeks earlier. On the same day, I overheard her talking about starting fresh. My stomach turned as I looked further. He had left encouraging comments on her posts, like "You've got this." One selfie even appeared to be taken inside her new apartment. It wasn't proof, but it was enough to raise serious doubts. I didn't know how to handle it yet, but her mention of a friend helping her stayed in my mind. I wanted to know if Jake was that friend. I reached out to a mutual acquaintance, Lisa, someone who had been close to my wife for years. I casually asked if she had spoken with M lately, or if she knew about this friend. Lisa immediately claimed she had no idea, and quickly shut down the conversation. She seemed defensive, almost as if she was avoiding involvement. Not satisfied, I tried another mutual friend, Emily, At first she was vague and cautious, giving short answers, but when I pressed her, she abruptly ended the call. Her reaction only deepened my suspicion. I sat there, frustrated, unsure of my next move. But to my surprise, Emily called me back. She said she needed to be careful and didn't want what she told me traced back to her. I promised her it would stay between us, and after a long pause, she finally shared what she knew. According to Emily, my wife had been spending a lot of time with a man named Jake, someone she met at work. Emily admitted she didn't know all the details, but she was certain Jake had become heavily involved in the advice my wife was following about the divorce. Hearing that name was like a missing puzzle piece sliding into place. It became clear this wasn't just about space or self-discovery. Someone else was in her ear, guiding her choices, and I wanted to know why. That Saturday, I decided to see for myself. I parked a block away from her apartment, waiting. Hours later, she walked out with Jake. They didn't hold hands, but their closeness, the way they leaned in to talk, was enough. They got into his car and drove off. I didn't follow. I didn't need to. At that moment, everything connected. She hadn't simply fallen out of love. She was preparing to leave with someone else. The sudden distance, the money questions, the aggressive demands, the divorce papers, it all made sense. She wasn't just leaving me. She was attempting to take everything while already building a future with him. That night, I sat at home replaying it all in my head. The betrayal hurt, but what stung most was realizing how carefully planned it had been. She was using the divorce as a springboard into her new life with Jake, but she had no idea I had already taken steps of my own. When mediation day arrived, the tension was obvious. Her lawyer came in carrying a binder so thick, it looked like they were preparing for corporate litigation. He listed her demands: half the house, the savings, my assets, the car, and even a claim for spousal support. I stayed silent, waiting for my attorney. When it was our turn, he calmly slid a stack of documents across the table. "Before we proceed," he said, "everyone should review these." Her lawyer flipped through the pages. His confident expression shifted to concern, then disbelief. "What is this?" he asked. "These are records of all major assets, transferred into a trust under my client Sip's mother Sip's name," my lawyer replied. "The transfers were completed weeks before the divorce filing. The trust is fully legal and irrevocable." The room went still. Her lawyer turned to her, frustrated. "You didn't mention this." She grabbed the papers, her face flushing as she read the notarized signatures and dates. "This can be real," she whispered. Then her eyes met mine, filled with anger. "You planned this. You knew I was going to file, and you set this up to cut me out." I said nothing. There was nothing to add. This wasn't sabotage. It was protection. She had made it clear she wasn't leaving quietly. Her lawyer demanded clarification, so mine explained each detail methodically: the dates, the signatures, the legality. Everything aligned. There was nothing they could challenge. "You're unbelievable," she said, leaning forward. "I can believe you do this to me." Still, I stayed quiet. The mediation ended with her lawyer muttering about needing to reconsider strategy, but everyone knew they had no ground left. In the hallway afterward, she pulled me aside, her face caught between rage and desperation. "This isn't over," she said in a low voice. "You still regret this." I looked her in the eye and replied, "The only thing I regret is trusting you." After that, things unraveled quickly. She spiraled into constant calls, voicemails alternating between pleading and fury. One would say, "We can fix this." The next would accuse me of being cruel and selfish. I ignored them all, as my lawyer advised. When calls didn't work, she started spreading stories. Mutual friends told me she claimed the divorce was fake, just a prank. But her story collapsed quickly. If it was a joke, why file real legal paperwork? Why hire an attorney and submit demands? When that failed, she shifted again, calling it a test of our relationship. She painted herself as the victim, saying my reaction had broken her trust. Some people initially believed her, and I even received emails from acquaintances offering sympathy. Her brother accused me of overreacting, but eventually the truth surfaced. A mutual friend, we'll call him Matt, reached out unexpectedly. He said, "You need to see this." He showed me text messages between her and Jake. I asked how he got them. Matt explained that a mutual contact, worried about what was happening, had shared screenshots. Jake had been openly bragging about helping her secure her future. The texts told the full story. She wasn't just venting to Jake. She was planning everything with him. One message from her read, "Once the settlement's done, we'll have everything we need." Jake replied, "Don't back down. Make him feel guilty if you have to. He owes you. We'll start fresh once you get the money." Reading those messages made everything clear. This wasn't confusion or a failing marriage. It was deliberate manipulation. I thanked Matt and left, my thoughts racing. Soon the screenshots spread among mutual friends. Her version of events crumbled. Those who had supported her began distancing themselves. Even her closest allies stepped back. By the time the divorce finalized, she walked away with only her personal belongings. Her lawyer quietly dropped her claims, knowing they had no legal standing. My mother's trust arrangement held firm. Jake disappeared the moment things collapsed. From what I could tell, he had fueled her fantasies of independence. But once it became obvious she wouldn't walk away with anything, he left. Without him, her confidence collapsed. The messages turned desperate. "Please, can we just talk? I'll do anything to fix this. You don't even have to forgive me. Just let's move on." I never responded. It was too late. Even her family began to withdraw. Her brother eventually reached out, apologizing for believing her lies. "I didn't know what she was doing to you," he admitted. As for me, I kept the house, the savings, and something far more valuable, peace of mind. My mother, as always, was my anchor. She showed up with paint and ideas to help me reclaim the space as mine again. Now life feels like it belongs to me once more. No more second-guessing every interaction. No more betrayal. Just calm. She is part of my past, a chapter I no longer revisit. The rest of the story is mine to write. Thank you for watching. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do so, and hit the notification bell to stay updated with more real-life stories.